coolers. If you haven't been here before, the whole objective of the water cooler session was to provide a way for arts administrators, board members, volunteers to come together and be able to share ideas. We started this when we were in the pandemic, so we were all virtual. We were trying to figure out how to do things virtually, how do we connect with our community, and this is a great way to share those ideas. My name is Rachel Morgan. I'm a program specialist here at the Arts Council, and a lot of our staff is here in the room too, which is kind of unique and fun. I'm not used to like, hey, look everyone. So today we're going to hear from Caitlin Little with Benson First Friday and Carly, and I'm probably going to say your name wrong, Carly Kramers?
It's Kramers, but it looks like Kramers or Tremors, so I never get offended.
All right. And Carly is with the Stir Museum, and they did an innovative partnership where they are two different organizations in two different communities in the state, and came together, and I hear we might even have some special guests that join us for the session, so we're pretty excited.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming and saying farewell to the water cooler series and hello to us. I'm Caitlin Little. I'm the Director of Development for BFF Omaha. We were previously called Benson First Friday, but we have since rebranded. So I just want to get in everybody's head BFF Omaha, because soon we'll be, in BFF Jamaica, BFF Croatia. So we just want to make sure that's a universal brand. And then Carly, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Carly Kramers, and I am Director of Education here at Stir Museum, and also the puppeteer and hand and voice and brain behind this little fellow here that you'll learn more about throughout the presentation.
Also, I just want to shout out, it was Scout's birthday yesterday, I believe. That's true? Yes?
Yeah, we bought some cake. We had some cake. He did not, because the frosting would not get out of his fur if he did. So, but yes, Scout's been around the Stir Museum as our youth ambassador for a year. So thank you for coming out to this awesome birthday party for Scout.
Yeah, so surprise, you came to a birthday party. We wanted to kind of talk a little bit, like as we were introduced, we just got done doing a collaborative project with puppets, with our two arts nonprofits. BFF is in Omaha, and the Stir Museum is in Grand Island. I'm like, it's hard to say. So we got together to make something. So, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we, as BFF, got involved in puppets. We realized that, puppets have kind of always been trending. They have been a creative force as far as the arts have gone kind of throughout history. And so about a year ago, we hired on our puppet programming coordinator. Her name is Celine. She's from Paris. It was just a very strange accident. She happened to be in Omaha. I was having lunch at La Bouvette. We started talking, and she was a puppet. I do arts. And so it was really, really exciting to meet her. And we were able to collaborate. And now she's a staff member at BFF. And she actually just flew in this morning from Paris. And so if I can, I'm going to bring her over, but I'm going to slide out of I'm going to be in the frame a little bit because I need to be able to reach the computer to run her slideshow. But she did bring, I think, a really important and informational little slideshow for you. So if I could, I'm going to share my screen. Let's make sure that works. Does everybody see a big pink dot? I'll assume since no one has their cameras on, that is a yes.
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to move over here so Celine can go ahead and speak. Oh, bonjour! Bonjour, Nebraska Arts Council. It's so beautiful, so magnificent to be here. My name is Celine. I am the Director of Puppet Programming for the BFF Omaha and in Paris. I am best friends with Cash Monet, a very important art collector, and I'm here to tell you about puppet science. First slide, please. Okay, hold it. Sorry, Celine, I'm not very good at this. I've only done one of these things before. Oh, it's okay, darling. Today I bring you the profound effects of human happiness and cognitive development from puppet-based scientific arts and culture programming. Presented by me, Celine Ballerine. Puppets are the world's next sliced bread. Since sliced bread was invented, not many brilliant things have happened. That's why today, puppets have happened. 3 things make puppets different from sliced bread. We make better citizens, we do science, and we create world peace.
Celine, I'm not sure about some of that stuff.
I'm not sure if you're from Paris or not, but this is very top information from top science. I'll show you very many facts.
Okay, I won't interrupt, sorry.
It's just Le Science. Mwah! Le Paris Laboratory of Puppet Facts has found that folks who watch puppet videos and go to puppet-based shows increase their ability to enjoy the fun by 68.4%. And as you can see, ice cream is up by 2.6, good times by 19. So it's a win-win when puppets are around.
Hey, can I get some citation for that data?
I would love to send them for you later, but I'm going on with my program. Thank you very much for your questions. Please let them be saved for afterwards. Next slide. Okay. My favorite famous figurines. Puppets are made from the image of aspirational characters. I mean careers. Like myself, I'm a ballerina, making them easy to relate to and motivators for young children to grow up, move out, and create their own puppet videos for the next generation of mermaids, pirates, and dragons. Doesn't it make you want to be a dragon? And of course, a piece of the world peace graph. As top research shows, more folks interact with puppets or watch social media with puppets, the more the world peace happens. It's the white line if you would like to see. It's going straight up, indicating increase. Puppets, being naturally charismatic, put the world at ease with their good looks. And that leads to greater investment in community, an increase in felt production, a vegan fur, and easier times get along with others. Just like we're having a good time now. Fin. This has been brought to you by the Academy of Puppet Science in Glasgow and the Paris Laboratory of Puppet Facts where I work. I would now open it up for questions. Let me click out of this. Oh, how did that get on there? Okay, I need to take a 5-minute break and I will let Kaylin take over from here. Au revoir, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Celine. So I don't know how much I can dispute with the director of puppeting, and I like world peace as much as the next person. I don't know exactly where that data came from, but I do have some information that I can offer. I'm not sure if it's as legitimate as hers, but I'll give you my point of view.
I do assure you, grant money has paid for all of these facts, and so I'm sure that they have been definitely fact-checked.
Okay, gotcha. I will just add on to that part then.
What does the Grand Island Puppetry Science Factory have to say about it?
Well, according to sources on the internet that are not the Paris Foundation for Puppetry, there actually are a lot of benefits of puppeteering, especially for kids, just like Celine was saying. So I can agree with her on some points, especially about how they are quite good looking. Look at this fellow over here, very expert. And that there are a lot of strong tools for using puppetry, especially with younger audiences. So you can probably all think of in your head a time that you maybe have seen puppets targeting young audiences, a la The Muppets or Sesame Street or anything else along those lines. And although puppets may not be everybody's favorite thing, it does have a natural way of capturing the imagination, especially in younger audiences. It's kind of just like a fuzzy, out of this world creative friend that they just kind of want to get to know. I mean, Elmo has skyrocketed in popularity far beyond what Sesame Street ever imagined because it was a puppet that kids could see themselves in. A young, curious, imaginative, nice puppet that was exploring the world just like them. So there's a power with puppets where humans kind of naturally open up to them and also see themselves reflected in those actions, whether it be a story or a lesson or some kind of learning. And with kids these days, it's undeniable that the way that children's brains are developing is different than how our brains developed, how people developed 50, 10, or even 5 years ago because of the extreme rise in technology. And it's a trend that I don't think we have any power to change. We're not going to be able to get all parents to take away complete screens from their kids. So it's kind of one of those things where you either go with it or you try to go against it, but it's going to be way too hard to fight the tide with that. And with technology and with how it's naturally affecting kids' brains, we have more diagnosed cases of ADHD, but also it may just be because technology with the development of the brain, it affects the neural plasticity. So it affects the white matter, which those are the cables and the connectors in brains, especially for communication and other skills that are developing at a slower rate. So when they are in a lesson, where we had times sitting in lessons in school, it's harder for those kids to focus now on those lessons because they're used to so many different stimulants coming at them, used to so many different colors and high-speed things. So with something that we were noticing with the Stir Museum is we didn't really have a ton that was just directing younger audiences. And we do realize that, especially younger audiences may not naturally be like, oh, yay, history. I totally want to learn about the 1890s. But we didn't want to lose them. We wanted to get them interested because with the Stir Museum, it tells the story of the county. So it tells their story and all of our stories. And it's an important piece growing up. And so we thought about what if we were to make our own little fuzzy youth ambassador. So it's something that kids are already familiar with because of Sesame Street. It's something that, similar to Elmo, kind of sees the world as a child does. Scout is super excited about everything, wants to learn everything, very loud, kind of weird, but kids can kind of reflect themselves in that. So with the pandemic that happened last year and really wanting to continue trying to find ways to connect, especially to younger audiences, we started making videos of our friends Scout. So then that way they were learning about history, but it was in a louder format and a faster format and a more colorful format, kind of meeting them halfway with how their brains work. And we had a lot of fun creating those things. We made a fun little theme song for Scout with the videos. Caitlin's going to share a screen so you can kind of see. We have a YouTube series of Scout exploring the Stir Museum. There we go.
Hey friends, here we meet again, back to explore some history and more. It's finally time for us to find what's in store at the Stir Museum.
So yeah, that was a little piece of how we were trying to meet the kids where they were at with formats they were familiar with and get them excited about history. And it's very fun to, now as we're getting more kids able to come out here, and when they see Scout, someone will be like, oh, I remember Scout from the videos. And we'll tell parents who have their kids meet Scout for the first time and fall in love that, hey, you can find the videos on our Facebook page, Stir Kids, and on our YouTube page, Stir Kids. So just trying to figure out ways to continually meet them where they're at and get them excited for all the exciting things that we have out here at Stir Museum.
BFF's journey with puppets has been a little bit longer. We actually started puppets before the pandemic to find a kind of a weird and different way to engage with folks. Most of the puppets you see on the screen were actually puppets that I bought one day after brunch. My friend and I went to brunch one morning and we stopped to get a bottle of water. And at the drugstore, there were all these puppets and they were super cheap. So I just bought like 10 puppets because that seemed like the right thing to do at the time. And we had been, since we first started integrating them into our Omaha Gives campaign, which is a 24-hour giving event. So we just thought it would be like a fun, different way to get people to learn about Omaha Gives. So I actually put a little video in here too. This is one of our Omaha Gives videos from, I think, 2018.
Hi, Officer Benson. What are you doing in Main Street Market today?
Well, my name is Zach. I just came to get one of those delicious donuts y'all sell.
They're called bagels, sir, but that's great.
All right, I'll take a sprinkle.
Okay, rosemary it is. That sounds good. $2, please.
Oh, here you go.
Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna get it going for you. Thanks, gang.
And you know what? This is a little something for you.
That's $10 though. That's a lot.
Well, you earned it.
Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give this to BFF for Omaha Gives today.
You mean www.omahagives.org/BFF?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Zach,
Yes.
you're under arrest
For what?
for being too dang generous.
Oh.
So we were able to use these puppets as a way to just kind of interact with people in a different and silly way and kind of get them out of feeling like they were giving money, because, you know, it's a 24-hour giving event. So we're just trying to get as much money as we can. But I think giving the opportunity to puppets to tell our story and to interact with people in the neighborhood created like a fun way that made it seem like a little less painful to donate that $10 out of their pocket. Which leads us to how Carly and I met and how we went to and put on a puppet museum party. I've been really excited to be, I feel like, really active in the arts like across Nebraska. Like I've started going to a lot more things and being a lot more involved in advocacy in the arts. And so anytime I hear about new arts organizations, I always follow them. And one night I was sitting at home and I saw a Scout video and I was like, Scout, like probably I think I'm the exact audience for Scout because I was like, yes, this puppet, our puppet should meet Scout. So I posted on there and we were connected. Me not really thinking that anything would, I was just like being adoring and gushing and I wasn't sure what would come of it. So Carly and I get connected and the rest is like sort of history. So we decided.
Yeah, we made an email chain, we had a Zoom meeting, and we said, what if we were to have our puppets actually meet in person? At first we were playing with them having a Zoom meeting, but things had improved enough with the state of the world where we thought, what if PK were to take a field trip down here to Grand Island? PK has not seen Grand Island before, and there are a lot of art-related things at Storm Museum, along with historical things that PK could learn from, and Scout could learn alongside.
Yeah, so one of the first initial things was like, hello, other person who does puppets. How will we imagine our puppets meeting? So we were thinking of, you know, the ways that we connect with our audiences, and Instagram was one of them. So at the beginning of the video, which we'll show you the best hits of our video that we made together, that shows PK and Scout scouring the internet, trying to figure out something new and important to do. PK is short for Peter Kardashian. No relation. He's our BFF intern, and he's a bad boy of stand-up comedy. He's a fireball connoisseur. He sometimes doesn't work and instead just gets on like Instagram all day long. And Scout is the Sturm Museum's kids ambassador, history and candy connoisseur, and was feeling kind of lonely and maybe wanted some other puppets to hang out with. So sent out this, you know, social media blast, and PK and Scout, you know, found each other, and, you know, the rest is history. We got in the truck, we came to Grand Island. Carly and Pam were so gracious to spend literally all day with us. We met in the morning time. We didn't really have a plan for kind of what we were going to shoot, other than we were going to shoot a bunch of stuff and try to create this storyline of why a puppet would come to another puppet's place of work and what kinds of things they might enjoy and who they might run into and what that looks like in a story. So here's some pictures of us shooting. There's Pam shooting PK and Scout in a railroad scene. This is just
a very fun, creative process, because something that, I mean, when you try new ideas, you don't necessarily know what the kinks are going to be until you get to them. And you don't really think about how people film puppet videos until you are a puppeteer and you realize I have to make my body as small as possible and I have to lift the puppet as high as possible. And working with both of our puppets, they're slightly different sizes. So we had fun working all together with Caitlin and Pam on the more production side of things, of telling us where to go and how to frame things. And then the puppeteer of PK, Alex, and I listening to them and trying new things, and just, it was a really great collaborative day where no ideas were shot down because it was a brand new thing and we all were just wanting to see what happened, no plan, like Caitlin said, and just go with it. And it was amazing just to have such a creative day.
Yeah, it's really neat. I'm not sure how often a lot of people get to go into kind of like a clean slate sort of project with, you know, two other people that they've never worked with, that they don't really know hardly anything about, and are trying to be like open and honest and make things work. But I feel like we had such great creative synergy together that I feel like all the ideas were just rolling in. We're like, okay, we're going to go here. All right, here's the next idea. Maybe he's going to fly. Maybe he's going to do this. Maybe Scout needs to stop and get candy. Like, who are we going to go visit? So I feel like our energies together were combined, just really, really positive. And both teams knowing kind of the I don't know, the opportunities for puppeteering where sometimes you're just laying on the ground with your arm up in the air for a really long time. Sometimes you're crouched behind something that is far too tiny for you to be crouched behind. As you can see here in the picture on the left, Carly is much shorter than Alex, but Scout is much bigger than PK. And so constantly trying to figure out how they can both be in frame. PK doesn't have like a lower torso. He has a torso, but he just doesn't have like legs. PK, Scout has a whole body. So working through those challenges, I think was really fun. Also the learning the construction of Scout, I think is really, really interesting. If you want to share about that.
Yeah, with Scout, that was a do-it-yourself project where when I first pitched this idea last year, if you go online and look at puppets, I mean, Caitlin is very fortunate to find them for such an affordable price, but finding puppets isn't necessarily the cheapest thing on the internet. And so I decided, well, I can watch a few YouTube videos. In college, I took a theater class where I made a puppet one time. So I figured I can try to figure this out myself. And so I made the first Scout from pretty much all found items just around the museum that we had scraps of. And then his fur was the most expensive things out of a total of $4 for 2 yards of the fuzzy orange fabric that we now know and love as the Scout color. And this is the second version because the first version, I learned some things about how to make the moving mouth mechanism that I applied to the second version. I made his torso wider and longer. And so the second version cost maybe $20 more than the first one. But all in all, I feel like it was a pretty decent investment for Scout.
1,000% with a lot of ROI on culture and fun, I believe. Here are some pics of their day together. There's Scout and PK in a prairie background, them hanging out in one of the houses in Railroad Town. We were really lucky that the store just let us kind of walk around everywhere, and everyone who was working was super into, well, I don't know if they were super into it, but they were very participatory and very supportive of us coming in, intruding in their spaces and practicing and kind of suspending imagination so that we could have this fun adventure.
And I've been very lucky with the people that work here at Star Museum because when I first proposed the idea, once again, when you propose something that's a little out of the box, there might be that voice in the back of your head saying, oh, people are going to think this is weird. This is going to crash and burn. This isn't going to go well at all. But it's really surprising just how many people really are actually very excited when they see Scout. Adults will get a smile on their face and will interact with Scout like I'm not even there. And it's just a little fun break in everyone's day to have that quirky break from reality. And like Caitlin said, the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to this store, it's so cool. Alex and I had never been before, so it was kind of a dual purpose. I mean, I definitely wanted to do a project, but I was like, let's go check this out too, because we're gonna go to the museum. It sounds really neat. It's beautiful. The campus is beautiful. The Arboretum's beautiful, and Railroad Town is amazing, and everybody there is really cool, and you should definitely go check it out. It is truly a gem of the prairie. So I was really lucky. I feel like we had just a great time going, and I want to show you a little bit of our video. This is kind of like the montage, the best hits that Carly put together of what a museum puppet party looks like. So let's look at it.
Oh, lonely being the only puppet around the museum. I wonder if there are any puppets that would want to hang out with me. You know what? Can't hurt to send out an invite. Let's call it a museum puppet party.
Museum Puppet Party Day at the Star Museum. Like that. Saved archive. See you soon. I'm on my way.
Oh, hi. Can I help you? Yes. This is my first time here. I'm looking for someone named Scout.
Scout is right around the corner there.
Is it Scout? Okay. Okay.
Yeah!
Welcome to Railroad Town. Oh, yeah, Railroad Town.
Yeah. So, PK, this is Railroad Town. someone about my visitor. Interesting.
Hey, Scout!
Yeah, PK?
You want to see me fly?
Yeah, you're a dragon, so I want to see you fly.
Alright, I might be a little rusty, but here we go, something.
Yeah.
Help me down.
Okay. Wait, PK, don't you have a broken wing? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay. Whew. I don't know about you, PK, but I'm a little tired after all of our fun adventures today.
So much fun.
Oh, did you learn a little bit too?
I learned a lot.
Yay! I was going to have friends here to experience the museum and have fun with me and to come to the museum puppet party. Museum puppet party. Museum puppet party. Museum puppet party.
So that was kind of best of hits of the Museum Puppet Party that we went to at the start, which was pretty awesome. When getting together to do this collabo, I was like, what are some things that I feel like we might have learned, or at least that I've learned? First of all, I feel like this was our journey. It was like, be a fan, like follow other arts orgs and smash that subscribe, like, you know, get those notifications, share people's links if other folks are doing stuff, even if you don't know who they are, if you like that content, I think it's really important to share that across your networks because you never know who you're going to end up maybe having a museum puppet party with. I think it's also
It was awesome on our end too, because that was out of nowhere. And then I got to learn a lot about BFF Omaha from that. And now I see all the great things that they're doing out there. And we want to go out to Omaha sometime and continue this. So, you know, you just gotta, Caitlin was a brave one and opened it up. And then look where we are now.
which comes to the second point of being a friend. Like reach out, network with people. I know there's lots of great programming, like things like this are really awesome. Artists Inc. are really awesome. They give you opportunities to network with folks that are kind of in your bigger region or across Nebraska. We are really lucky to be in this incredible state with tons of like raw natural talent. And I think sometimes there's so much land between us that we forget that we're much closer than we think we are in all of our projects and ideas and where our hearts are at. So reach out to people, like become internet pen pals, like follow each other's Instagrams, go have coffee, like each other's content, like whatever that looks like to you as far as like being a friend. Which leads, I think, to the final thing, which is like live your dream. It's cool to be friends and like to be internet friends, but you know, now that we're kind of past the point of no return with the pandemic, like get out and create a project that amplifies both of your missions. Like we were lucky to be able to we shot a little bit more later too that kind of talked about some arts in downtown Grand Island, but you know, arts and culture and history are really, really important to Nebraskans of all types and creative types. And it was a really fun way to kind of talk about BFF and to talk about the store and to make connections. So don't be afraid, I think, to take chances on projects that you might think are silly or maybe seem like they might be hard to do, or I feel like there's always a way. This happened to just seem like something that was super easy to do, totally within arm's reach. It only took, you know, a couple hours of us traveling one way or another, but it was super fun and I think totally worth it.
Yeah, and even if you don't necessarily know what the end of that collaboration is going to look like when you reach out, don't feel like you have to have a fully mapped out plan from A to Z of, I want to collaborate with you and these are my ideas and let's do it. You know, sometimes just going with an open feel and letting that collaboration truly happen with the two of you and then seeing where it ends up and seeing what happens and not being afraid for it to turn out a little differently than you planned. You know, that's the beauty of collaboration is you're going to hopefully end up with something that's better than either of you could have done on your own. And I am constantly happy with watching the video of our collaboration if I'm ever having a down day because it's just so fun and we're excited to do even more in the future together.
I lose it every time Scout turns around in that chair and is like, it's you, PK?
That was one of the hardest puppet angles. If you look closely, you see me on the ground curled up, but that's the point.
Scene of them running was super hard to shoot because there wasn't anything for any of the puppeteers to be behind. So we had to be really careful about what the angle was going to look like and how do we get Scout to turn around in a chair and be excited while not having anybody like push them around in a chair. So
yeah, lots of trial and error, but it was fun. So
with that, I want to say thank you, Carly, for being awesome and my friend now and being a collaborator and colleague. It was really, really fun to do. And I hope that people who have got to see this or who are thinking about collaborating, like really do it. I think it's really worthwhile. And it creates these networks, you know, especially as we they were talking a little bit earlier about how, you know, these arts and culture districts are going to start popping up. Like, these are great ways for us to connect our communities and create these highways through. So when people come to Nebraska, it's not just like a place they drive through, it's a place they want to stop at every 2 hours and check out all the really cool stuff and check out all the really cool people and be engaged at all the beauty that we have here.
Yeah, and just finding ways to build each other up. Like, we're not competition. We're all in the same beautiful state trying to make art come alive anywhere and everywhere. And along the way, if you make awesome friends and get networking connections with other arts organizations, then it just makes the journey even better. So thank you, Caitlin, also for collaborating, and thank you, Nebraska Arts Council, for having both of us and giving us this opportunity to share our story.
Yes, we're very lucky to live in a place that has an arts council that's very supportive of us. So thank you all for all the work that you do all the time.
Well, thank you guys. I do have one question, or maybe two, maybe they're a combined question. So I'm curious what the future holds for PK and Scout, and are they still involved in programming at your organizations, and are they getting together anytime in the future?
Yeah, we actually have more footage to make a part 2 video. We have some great art spots downtown in Railside, Grand Island. So we made a video and we have footage of them going exploring that. So if you follow both of our Facebook pages, the Sturm Museum one, the BFF Omaha one, and the Stewart Kids Facebook page, then those will come out and there will be a part 2 eventually. And then we also had conversations of the Sturm Museum and Scout going out to BFF Omaha for one of their first Fridays and having a booth out there. And then Scout can go and hang out with them. So yes, this is definitely not the ending point. This is the launching pad, I would say, for their friendship.
Totally. So PK's character started during the pandemic. We started a new line of programming called Gen Q, which is LGBTQ plus focused arts programming. And we started a show. We were part of Lincoln Calling last year. Lincoln is another community that we have been, it's outside of our Omaha community, but just close enough that it's easy for us to do lots of stuff with. We created a fake travel show called Little Known Places. My last name is Little, and I feel like I live on Sesame Street a lot of times. Oftentimes I'm not the puppeteer, but I'm the person who's interacting with the puppets and like leading puppet conversations. And so I went to Lincoln for Little Known Places, and it was kind of like an Anthony Bourdain travel show where we went around, and everything was virtual last year, except for some live performances that we had in the street that were separated, and we didn't have like a big crowd around them. But PK had been to Lincoln before, surprise. And so he was showing me around to all the Lincoln hotspots. And so that's like how he became. We also were asked to make a safety video for Maha this last year, so he was featured in that as well. And PK is our intern, so he's just kind of like hanging around all the time. He kind of pops in when we need help. He doesn't have any like specific program that he's like in charge of, other than like sometimes doing Instagram. And we can't wait for Scout to come to Omaha because there's so much stuff to look at. Like Carly was saying, we did more stuff downtown because the art downtown was June Kaneko, who's from Omaha. And so PK knew all about June Kaneko. So that was really exciting for the two friends to kind of like share both of their expertise in one day and then get Thai food. So it's just the beginning, I think.
Yes, and as Chris Hawks-Butler, the executive director of Sturm Museum, mentioned in the comments yesterday, Sturm Museum had to present in front of the Hall County commissioners about like funding and all that. So Scout got to make a very professional debut in front of the county commissioners, and one of them asked if their grandkids can meet Scout at some point. And Scout is out and about occasionally saying hello to kiddos when we have larger events or programming. So there is also more in Scout's future here at the Sturm Museum.
I also know that, I've heard through the grapevine, there's a couple of like other arts orgs that might have a puppet that may not be as famous as PK and Scout. We would never hold that against them, but we'd be up to like meeting with them. I think more puppet programming, like we saw, like Celine presented, only leads to better citizens, world peace, and that 68.2% increase in happiness. So we're excited to be spearheading the way.
We're laughing over here. I have to keep us muted because we're having a great time. So I have to admit though, Chris, now that Chris has turned his video on, I'm curious, when you have a staff person that comes to you and says, hey, I want to build a puppet, like how does that conversation go? What was that process?
Well, it's kind of like a what do we have to lose conversation, you know? I mean, we were in a pandemic at the time. We were trying, and we still are, frankly, but we were trying anything that we could to remain relevant. And I think that's important for arts and culture organizations across, not just our state, but across the country. What can we do to remain relevant? And sometimes we get a little stuffy in that, you know, and we get a little stuck in a rut. And when Carly brought this idea forward, I just really looked at it as a way for us to do something different. I had no clue or expectations, frankly, for what it would do, but it became very clear really early on that this was going to be something good. So that's when we decided to put actually some resources against it, you know, with staff time and all those things. But it was a risk, and arts organizations need to be entrepreneurial. I think we need to take chances, we need to take risks, and we just need to create. So letting Carly run with this, I think, was one of the best ideas we've ever had.
Also, I might say that Chris did an amazing job in his cameo in our full length video. So if you haven't seen that, he does make an appearance as well. So all stars at the Sturm Museum, all actors.
That's awesome. Does anyone else have questions for you guys? Sorry. Kind of just
I don't have questions. I just love the whole thing. No.
Are there any things that you would like to see more puppets doing? Are there any topics that you need puppets to, you know, breach?
You know, what I would just share that I'd like to see more of the puppets going out into the community. I know that Carly has done some of that work with Scout. Scout interviewed Dr. Grover, who is our superintendent here at Grand Island Public School Districts. And puppets can ask questions of people that people can't ask. So Scout was able to really explore what's it like being a Black superintendent or a Black professional in this community, you know, and was able to kind of boldly ask those questions, where I think that maybe had it been just a museum professional interviewing Dr. Grover, that may not have been possible. And so I would like to see more of the puppets going out into the community, interacting with our officials, our administrators, getting them to loosen up a little bit and bringing it to the level where people are taking interest in it. You know, and I would love to see that.
I think that's
going off of how that conversation with Dr. Grover went. It was really an awesome tool to have Scout, because then Scout could talk about racial issues and say, oh, so it's like if someone didn't like me if I was orange. Yes, it's a very simplified way, but also it's for kids, and it's kind of just like starting to have those conversations and making that a regular thing where it's something that people don't know Sturm Museum for going and talking about culturally relevant issues like that, but it's something that we're working towards doing because those do reflect upon our community and it affects our community.
I think this was another reason this was an interesting collaboration, because Scout's main audience is generally children and their parents. PK's audience is generally a little bit older, maybe like 30-somethings. His style is a lot edgier. Like I said, he's like a burgeoning stand-up comedian. So, you know, his show was like him going around and like presenting drag queens and like going to see a weird synth show in Lincoln. And Scout's Day is like hanging out at an art museum and having candy. So like being able to have those two characters meet each other and still be able to hang out and get along, even though they kind of come from slightly different worlds, I think is a great way also to just represent like collaboration to people. Like, yeah, I'm a dragon and you're Scout and we just do different stuff, but like we can hang out and have so much fun all day together and get along. And I think that's a really like subtle but very positive message that I think that's what like one of the greatest things about puppeting is just like that suspended belief allows us to act in a way I think that is, you know, like when I'm talking with puppets, I never even mention that I'm talking with puppets. I'm just hanging out, talking to a puppet. So I think that if we can all just like hang out and talk to everybody as if they are just other existing people that just deserve to exist all the time, I think that's a huge message and something that is a real champion of like puppetry.
And if you watch the full-length video, PK does mention some kind of accident that happened because of fireball. What kind of fireball? That's for you to determine. It's a dragon, so.
I'll have to send a link to the full video with a follow-up and a follow-up email so that everyone has the link to it. Make sure you have it. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Carly and Caitlin, for joining us, and Chris, that I pulled you into the conversation. Thank you guys so much. We are really excited to see the partnership develop and see what happens. This is really exciting. I think this is just the start of a great friendship between the organizations and the puppets. And so that's really exciting to see. Yeah. With that, I am going to let everyone go. Have a wonderful afternoon. And I will talk to you all later.